Looking expensive is not a business plan. That's just the beginning. Remember when Jesus walked up to the fig tree from a distance? It had the appearance of leaves, so it gave the impression of life. But when he reached for the fruit, there was nothing there. And that's what angered him. Not that it didn't look good, but that it promised something that it did not deliver. He said the same thing about the whitewashed tombs. Beautiful on the outside, freshly painted, perfect from a distance, but inside, nothing but dead men's bones. The first time I read that scripture 15 years ago, I started bawling, crying, because I knew then I didn't just want to look good from a distance, but I wanted to be a woman of substance. You were not created just to look expensive. You were created to bear good fruit, so that when people get close to you, they don't just see decoration, they see depth. So then how do you become a woman of substance? Because right now the talk is all aesthetic this. Dress expensive, look expensive. Now, don't get me wrong, and please don't twist my words. I love aesthetics. I'm the type of person who wears neutrals all the time. My grid is perfectly neutraled out. I love aesthetics. But the aesthetics is the cherry, the whipped cream, and the icing on top of the sundae. Now, we could eat it like that, but it wouldn't be as indulgent as having a whole sundae. And so what I've found is that we're focused so much on the look instead of the identity that influences the look. Because image without identity is extremely hollow. But image as a result of identity is what influences people to the next level. So when I began to grow in my identity, it influenced everything. It influenced the way I sit. It influenced the way I get in and out of the car. It influenced the way that I present myself. Why? Because I had two things. I had the revelation of royalty, as I've taught you all, that we are a royal priesthood, but I also had the responsibility of royalty. That's when the preparation came. And I think sometimes we get those two confused on what we need to do to go to our next level. So when women see videos of me getting in and out of the car, it feels in a way to some people who don't have the revelation of royalty, what's the point of all of this? I need to just get in the car how I want. I need to just eat my food how I want. I need to just talk how I want. And you can, but when you have this revelation that I am a part of something royal, I serve the King of all kings, and I'm in partnership with him to bring the kingdom of heaven down to earth, you sit up differently. You roll your shoulders back differently. You speak differently, and you train differently. So I want to talk about just a couple of things that I see now in social media that I think I really want you all to see in just a different light. And a couple of pitfalls that moves beyond just being pretty, beyond just looking expensive. So a few pitfalls. What's that scripture that I taught you all? A beautiful woman without discretion is like a gold ring in a pig's snout. I see so many teachings. Make sure you look good. Make sure you have this fabric. Make sure you present yourself in a way. But do you have discretion? Discretion is a mystery that is also in alignment with wisdom. Because what is discretion? It's behaving in a way where you have wise and measured choices. Everyone right now has a microphone. Everyone now has a keyboard where they can say whatever, they can type whatever, they can proclaim, I need to shout to the rooftops. But may I offer a different perspective? You know how in the Bible we have certain examples of women who did great things for Jesus. And often we talk about Esther, right? Esther won a whole nation, but she wasn't yelling. She wasn't screaming. This woman put on her what I like to call her royal robes of favor. She had already been through preparation. That means she knew refinement. She knew how to carry herself. She knew how to win favor. Not only that, but she prepared a whole banquet. Is our perspective of Esther in alignment with our preparation of what it means to be a woman of godly influence? Or do we just throw discretion out of the door? Do we just throw wisdom out of the door? Because truthfully, to the level that you are strong in the Lord, I believe that you should also have fruit that exemplifies that. What about the fruit of temperance, self-control, where I could say it, but is it wise? What about gentleness? And I feel as if because of what's propagated on social media, the thought of gentleness is repulsive. But if I may offer you a different perspective, is that gentleness is a required fruit of the Spirit. It is a requirement. So every day when I wake up and I ask myself, am I actually growing in self-control? Am I growing in patience? Am I growing because fruit has to grow. Think about that. So when you look at being a woman of substance, more than everything else, can God's fruit be seen in you? And I think that's one of the greatest ways to change the world. You know that scripture I love, a wise woman builds her house, but a foolish woman tears it down with her own hands, with her own mouth, with her own actions. And when we want to become a woman of substance, we have to know that our actions are either building up or they're tearing down. And you know me, my phrase is, I want my words to bring life and not a knife. There's a scripture in Proverbs that talks about how a wholesome tongue, listen to this, a wholesome tongue is a tree of life. Another word for wholesome is a healing tongue, that God can use the words of your mouth to bring healing. That when people come to you, they experience life, they experience joy, they experience peace. It doesn't say a nice tongue. Don't get that confused. Nice means I won't say anything in order to keep the peace. Wholesome and healing means sometimes you will need to speak the truth, but what's the other part? In love. My prayer is, may the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart, that means what I'm actively thinking about, be acceptable to God. Because not everything that we think is acceptable, and not everything we say is acceptable. Because in my book, I would rather be righteous in God's eyes than right in my own. So maybe your prayer today could be this: Lord, wash me, cleanse me. I want to be like you. Lord, show me how to grow in the fruit of the Spirit. And also, as I'm ending this, another scripture, two scriptures that I love, I want you to go study them. And it's this: a meek and quiet spirit in God's eyes is of a great value. You have heard me teach that scripture so many times in 1 Peter. Meek doesn't mean weak. It means strength under control. And quiet does not mean silent. It means, you know this, peace and tranquility from within. To God, for women, that is great value to him. And then lastly, he beautifies the meek with salvation. What is meek? Strength under control. That means I am strong, but I don't have to prove it to you. I can say this, but I don't want to crush you. I can do this, but I don't want to destroy you. Being meek is not the absence of being strong. It's actually having so much strength that you have trained it to know how to harness it, to know how to hold it, to know how to restrain it. Anyone can do anything that they know can destroy somebody. But again, may the words of my mouth, that means what can I say that reflects Jesus? And the meditations of my heart, what am I thinking that honors the Lord? Because your heart is where the presence of Jesus rests. And so if you want to be a woman of substance, don't forget to pursue him and his righteousness and purity all the days of your life, so that when people see you, they don't just see pretty, they don't just see beautiful, but they see a well of wisdom, grace, and discretion. And those women are the ones who would change the world for Jesus.